Hannah thinks that the Eagles have a better roster than the Dallas Cowboys. Where would that be on defense? Where would that be? Your two tackles? Okay. Other than that, there's nine other positions that they're better than you at. There's 9 other positions that they're better than you on defense. Dak outplayed Hurts. He's better right now. Just like last year, Hurts was better than Lamar. See, that's not a flip-flop. That's called production. You don't get credit for 2 years ago or a year ago. You get credit for what you've done. Micah Parsons over Hassan Reddick. Come on. Hassan Reddick is not the player that Micah Parsons is. He's a better pass rusher. That's it. He's not a good tackler. He can't cover. He's awful in drops. Micah Parsons is a more complete player. Do I like him? Not really. But don't tell me that Reddick is the player that Parsons is, because he's nowhere near that. Is he better in coverage? No. Does he cover tight ends better? No. Is he a better tackler? No. Is he a better pass rusher? Yes. Good, you got one of the 4. Congratulations. Come on, man. Okay? And by the way, your 2 young tackles fell apart at the end of the year. I mean, you go like this, we got better tackles than the Cowboys. That wasn't on display the last 9 weeks. People were averaging 155 yards a carry on you. That's not great run stoppers. I mean, don't start making shit up on your team that's not true. By the way, your quarterback was blitzed the most. Where was your pass protection, too? One thing I'll say about the Eagles, man, and that pass protection, they got to be better, too, for Hurts. Tone goes, how do you keep your sanity with this much nonsense floating around you? This is why you'll be miserable, young man, if you stay in this business. This is the business that we choose. Dealing with idiots that think they know what they're talking about, and they have no clue what they're talking about. Now, Philly 500 is my boy, and I love having a conversation. Cowboys are chokers. That's not really the debate. They're more talented. They're closer to a Super Bowl than the Eagles are. This is not a 1-year fix. This is a 2-year fix. Okay? Dan started the season off by saying Dallas had a better D-line. They absolutely kicked the fucking shit out of you in Arlington. Eagle fans are delusional. Philly 500's like, Sales, please let me just have the choke. Okay? Please let me just have the choke. Okay, you're right. They do, and they will. With Dak, they can't get out of the divisional. Yeah, well, I don't think it's Dak. I think it's a Dallas thing. Because it could be Tony Romo or Dak Prescott. Eventually, you have to say it's the owner and the meddling general manager, don't you? They haven't been able to get out of the divisional round since Jimmy Johnson left the office. Don't you think it's him? All the cascades of coaches and quarterbacks that you had in there, it's no coincidence. The only one thing that's a consummate is the GM. I mean, Tony Romo, Dak Prescott, they both can't get out of the divisional round. Okay. Well, why would that be? Well, who's the GM? He's the same guy. And Barb goes, I thought it was Jason Garrett's fault. Why would it be Jason Garrett's fault? The head coach in Dallas has less responsibility, okay, than the guy in Philly. I loved yesterday what Philly 500 said too, by the way, about Sirianni. And I'll say it again, like I said in the first hour. Sirianni's like a keg of dynamite in the middle of the Eagle locker room. Okay? It's like a keg of dynamite. It's just waiting to go off. It's going to go off somewhere next season. You just don't know when it's going to go off, but it's going to go off. And you know what I think it's going to go off? It's going to go off because Kellen Moore and the relationship between Nick Sirianni and him. That's going to be the thing that's going to be tested the most. And then you know what you got to think? Isn't it going to be up to your quarterback to kind of settle that? And try to make both those guys work? Like Brady made that relationship work? You see, this is where Jalen is going to also be. And we're going to be watching this relationship more too. Because why? Would we not all agree that Tom Brady made that relationship work with Bill Belichick in New England for 20 years? It was Brady. What did the dad come out and say? His interpersonal communication skills suck. He's not very good at it. Okay. Brady worked around that. He knew Bill is a savant as a coach, but he didn't let the exterior way that he communicated damage what he had inside of him to propel the team to greatness. That's leadership. That's not just reading the exterior. That's going like this. Bill's got a lot to offer me. He's an asshole. Right? Would you not say this? Brady probably went like this in his private time. This guy, man, he's an asshole. But I'll tell you what. He's got a treasure trove of knowledge that I want to tap into. And if I could tap into that, this guy's going to take me to places that no other quarterback has ever been. Has never been. He knew it. Well, that's Jalen's responsibility too. How much can I get out of Kellen Moore? My problem with the Kellen Moore hire, and I'll say it one more time to you, I don't think it, by the way, I don't know if it's going to work. I just say this. I don't know. So he's like a running coordinator. He's not. Okay. He's like a running coordinator. He's not. Right? You've got to figure out if this guy is going to be the guy that's going to take him to the next level. Is he that guy? Like Tone and I were talking, I thought it was more of a situation where Cliff Kingsbury would have been a better hire. He controls the offensive game plan and calls plays. Okay. Well, that relationship will be out there for folks to test, Yale. Because look, if he's putting a game plan together and he's down in Jalen's ear and he's going to call a play in the middle of the game, and they're going to be calling plays, and all of a sudden Nick parachutes in and goes, I think we should run a bubble screen. Is Kellen Moore going to go like this? No, we're not doing that. And are we going to have a conflict? Because I think that's where that thing's going to blow up. Okay? That's where I think the thing blows up. It blows up in the fact that can Nick deal with being cut and having his knees chopped out from under him? Hurts has got, that's a great call, Barb. Jalen's got to be more open to coaching. But I think, Barb, it's this. Go with me here. I don't think it's being more open to coaching. I think it's, he's got to be more open to coaching the coaches. And what I mean by that is he's got to know the room. There's going to be a power struggle between Nick Sirianni. And here's something to think about. Is Kellen Moore going in here to try to supplant Nick Sirianni as a head coach because he knows he's on the hot seat? Is he going to be working in the best interest? They've never worked together, I don't think. Unless somebody could tell me, I don't think they've ever worked together. Is he going to be working in the best interest of Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts? Or is he going to be a subversive guy and a Judas trying? Jonathan Gannon was a Judas. He was a Judas. Is he going to be in the best interest of the Eagles going forward? Because here's the thought. What if he does turn Hurts around? Are you going to fire Nick anyway and name him head coach? Leave Kellen alone. He played on the blue turf. And hey, he played on the blue turf. He did. He played in the potato chip bowl too, right? That Idaho potato chip bowl thing. I told people this a long time ago. If Big Sills is invited to go to potato chip blue bowl or whatever the thing was, the Frito-Lay bowl, I'm not going. I don't play bowl games in December. No, thank you. I only play on New Year's. Yeah, I'm not playing on blue carpet either. That ain't happening. That's not working for me. The potato chip bowl, whatever. What was that thing called? The Idaho potato chip bowl. Big Sills doesn't play. I don't play bowl games in December. I only play on national championship games, and I only play in New Year's. I only played in New Year's Day. I don't play anywhere else. Hey, let's play the Idaho Potato Bowl, the Fruit Loop Bowl, the Frosted Flakes Bowl. That's not working for me. Eagles' success is Kellen's success. Oh, that sounds sweet. Oh, isn't that nice? Okay. Oh. Look at Dirty D here, man. That's awful nice of you, dude. Kellen's success is the Eagles' success, and the Eagles' success is Kellen's success. Are you wrong? You think coaches and players think like that? So this is what Dirty D thinks. Guy gets taken out and a player gets put in his place. He thinks the player behind him is cheering for the linebacker who took a spot. Or like, do you really think that Sean Desai was rooting for Matt Patricia to call a good game plan? Probably, right? Hey, right? Hey, Tone, think about it. Everyone, you probably think Sean Desai's sitting up there going like this in the booth. And Matt Patricia's calling plays, and he's sitting up there going, man, I really hope Matt Patricia calls an outstanding game plan for the Eagles so that they can win and make me look even worse. Because that's human nature. So you really think that Desai was sitting up there doing that? Desai probably planted a few landmines along the way. Hey, yeah, run this tackle sweep blitz twist with an anchor twist. What's that? I don't know. I made it up. Yeah, it's awkward, man. Absolutely awkward. No doubt. Okay? Hate to tell you, Eagle fans, but you're not going to like Kellen Moore's game plan. I don't care about what happens to Nick. What I mean by that is the Eagles' offense turns around. It's in Moore's best interest. I know what you meant. I don't care what happens to Nick. Dude, this guy is just there. Can I tell you this? Doesn't it remind you of Desai just being in the building? Doesn't it just remind you of Desai? What's the difference between Desai in the building and Nick? When he's going to have no say in the game plan. I don't get it. I mean, he's Sean Desai now. But just the head coach. Look at what the Eagles have done here. to Nick Sirianni. They turned him into Sean Desai. Hey, you've been demoted. He's been hey, would we not agree? You know, I haven't used that word. Nick Sirianni's been demoted, right? Nick Sirianni has been demoted. Correct? Okay, Brandon, has Nick Sirianni been demoted? Tongos, I would say so. Your head coach, this is his second demotion. He was demoted from play calling. Now he got demoted again from play calling and hiring coaches. Jesus criminy. Why does that guy get more opportunity than what Doug did? Elmo has more responsibility than Sirianni. Man. He's being paid $7 million and been demoted twice. Muzzled? I say demoted. Right? Man. Now, supposedly, I looked this up. Supposedly, Kellen Moore was around the top 10 in RPOs this past year. Muzzled, demoted. What's the difference at this point? There is no difference. What is he in the building for? Sirianni has gone from my offense to our offense to probably fired. I mean, like, dude, Jeff hits it on the head here. Exactly. Who are the players answering to? So, like, get this. If Jalen Hurts is being developed by Kellen Moore, what's Nick's job in this? So don't we take that from this? Okay, Shane Steichen was the guy completely responsible for the 2022 season and the development. And get this, to what Tones always says, you know that growth gap? He was responsible for that growth gap. Are you going to see that same growth gap with Kellen Moore? Sills, I don't get it. Sirianni is there for lasagna night. I'm with you. I just don't get it. This is not, the more and more we move on, the more you hear them talking, the more you hear the coordinators talking, the more you hear the players talking. It just doesn't make sense. You're creating a nightmare for your season. I'm going to say it again. I'm sorry. You're not making the playoffs, and I'm not, unless we see something drastically. I'll say this on February 1st. You're not making the playoffs. Not a chance. Not a chance. You are not a playoff team. With that garbage you have, you are not a playoff team. You're not. You were 1-7 down the stretch with the worst defense in the league. You changed your entire coaching staff out. And you think that's going to be a smooth transit? Where in the world have you ever seen that, where you've changed your entire coaching staff out except your head coach? You lost 6 of 7 down the stretch, and you thought you were a Super Bowl contender or a playoff contending team. Dude, you got a Super Bowl offense. And you know what you have? You have a last place defense. So figure it out. You're going to be in the middle of the pack. You're going to be like 9-8, 10-6, or 8-9, or 6-10. You're going to be around there. The difference between 6-10 and 10-6 is probably 25 plays in a year that will determine that. Well, yeah, they got a Super Bowl offense. And you could make the argument that they have the 32nd worst defense. So where are you going to be? You're going to be in the middle. That's why the Cowboys have a better roster than you. They're better across the board. And you think, get this. So here's what we're doing. You bet your ass. I'm making a statement here. You're not making the playoffs. Not a chance. Because here's what has to happen. Think about this. And this has to happen. Hurts has to have a turnaround year. And that coordinator has to work. Right? Vic has to have an impact on your defense. I haven't even got to the personnel. Your defense has to be at least top 15. 11-6 team is in the Super Bowl. You think you have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs defense? They play in the AFC, guy. Dirty is comparing Patrick Mahomes. You know what they did? They righted the ship and are in the Super Bowl for the second year in a row with nobody on that team. You don't have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback. Don't kid yourself. You think you have, and you're as good as that team? They found themselves. They got better. You got worse. You were 1-7. They went on to do great things because they have great people. You have to retool every position almost on defense. And you got to pray that your two fat guys in the middle of your defense grow up and become men. The only guy that's legitimate on that side of the football is Josh Sweat, Fletcher, Milton, and Reddick. The rest of them, you got two tackles that have to grow up, and the rest of those guys are garbage. Blankenship's okay. Sidney Brown, we'll see. The rest of those guys back there, ifs, ands, whats, buts. What are you doing to Kobe Dean? I mean, I don't want to do anything with him. I'm going to keep him on my team because I drafted him, I guess, in the third. I got to give him another shot. But he is nowhere on my radar. If I'm doing the right thing by building my team, I'm not building anything around him. I have no interest in building anything around him. In his 2 years, he gets an F. He gets an F. Do you know what Jordan Davis gets? A C in his 2 years. Well, he had an A his first 8 games. His last 8 games, he got a D. I don't know. You played Sweat 1,000 plays. And you have to count on all of that to turn around. As Tone says, the only sure thing in the building, I'm more confident that Hurts will turn it around than any other thing in there, including your coach, including the coordinators, including the defense, including some of your younger talent, and Howie drafting. I got to count on Howie drafting and retooling and drafting. Dude, the only guy in the building that you would put, hey, if you were going to put how about this? If you were going to put $100,000 down on something that was going to turn around, what would it be? It'd be Hurts. Are you going to put the money down? Are you going to put $100,000 down on the Kobe Dean turning it around? No. Those linebackers? No. Those corners? No. Jordan Davis staying underweight? No. By the way, who are you replacing Swift with? And don't start naming Derrick Henry and those guys. You need to stay away from that shit. Who are you replacing with? Draft choice? So you're going to go into the draft and replace him. Stay away from Barkley, guy. You're not going near that. You ain't paying $10 million for Barkley. Are you crazy? Dude, stay in the real world. Okay, I'll do it better for you, PI. Swift, replace him, will be at UDFA. Zeke. Okay, now you're talking. That's more your style. Zeke. How he will do his magic. You mean like this last year? So you're going to draft a running back for Hurts? Austin Eckler? Dude, I told you, stay in reality. Austin Eckler's going to get $5 or $6 million. You think Howie's going to pay $5 or $6 million for Austin Eckler? He'd be a nice fit, actually. He'd be a nice fit. Here, you are going to go budget shopping. You're going to go budget shopping. You got to stay in the budget. Oh, and your quarterback makes $50 million. Doesn't it bug you that every 2 years your general manager has to rebuild your team? And the reason why you last year's team looks exactly like 17. So get this. Hey, what was the record? Sometimes I feel like Howie Roseman is too concerned with the cap. Just sign a good player. Yeah, that's not going to happen, Tone. What was the record? What was the record after 17? Was that the 4-win team 3 years after the 17? Was that the 4-win team? Yeah, it'll be the same trend. It'll be the same trend. Because if I'm not mistaken, 2018, you guys made the playoffs and lost to New Orleans. Okay? Actually, your 18 team was better than this last year's team. Okay? And that was with a backup quarterback. Your 18 team was better than that thing. Because they got further. They got to the divisional round. You got smoked in the wild card round. So that was better. Actually, 17 and 18 were better than 22 and 23. And you had better talent in 22 and 23. You had better talent. But then 3 years later, you won 4 games, 4-11-1. That's what you're trending to. Doug Peterson got that team in 18 to the divisional round. Nick Sirianni couldn't even get the team off the bus. Then he wanted to play the game. They were a drop away from going to the NFC title game for 2 years in a row. This team here laid down and didn't want to play, but according to Jason Kelsey, Nick had the pulse of the team. $17, 13-3, 9-7, divisional round. 19, they were 9-7. Then a wild card loss. Then they were 2020, 4-11. Boom. That's what you're trending to. So they went Super Bowl win, 3-0, 1-1. So in 2 years, so in 18, counting 17 and 18 in the playoffs, they were 4-1. They were 4-1 in 2 years, 17 and 18. Yeah, because they won 3 playoff games because they had home field in 17. Then they went 1-1 in 18, and they were 4-1. Solid. Solid. Either it's a turnaround or not. Totally. We're going to know right away. We are. We're going to know right away. By the way, that's a great one here. Oh, we don't have the schedule yet. Shit. That thing's not set up because this thing could be over quick. See, last year you had the benefit of not really playing great teams early. If they play great teams early, you'll be put out of your nightmares soon because they won't. Now, that's a great question. If this thing gets out to a rocky start and a pretty bumpy start, do they fire him or do they let him play out the season? Do they fire him if it's going south right away? Do they let him play it out? God, I can't wait. This is so much fun. This is so much fun, man. We already know the final chapter of this story. We're waiting to fill in and watch this thing. And I feel for guys like Tone and some of you really hardcore Eagle guys. You know how this is ending. The boat hits the sea floor. This thing's going to hit the sea floor. Jay says the schedule isn't nowhere near as tough as last year. You mean like Drew Lock, Tyrod Taylor, Kyler Murray? You mean Baker Mayfield and them dudes? Hey, man, I could get that you get beat by the Cowboys and you get beat by the Niners. Those are good football teams. You get beat by them other dog crap things. What are you talking about here, man? What are we talking about, right? Beat Mahomes and Allen, and you're at home. And Mahomes is in the Super Bowl. Man. Hey, maybe you could sign OBJ. He's available. Oh, my God. And I'll say it one more time. There's so many question marks. So many question marks going into this thing. It's incredible. All right. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.